night in the co-main event, Francis Ngannou. Give it up for him.
What's up, Detroit? All the things I know, I still been silent though. Isso aqui pode dar, mas fico torcendo só pra ser com ela que eu cheguei a casar. Quando ela vai, eu piro quando ela se entrega, quando ela se esfrega e quando a roupa
Actually, that's my older brother's name. I don't like him, so I don't like you right now. What? This guy, I brought him up here. This guy called me Luigi. That's some messed up shit, right? Body shot. Body shot. Body shot.
Ariel Helwani in Detroit for UFC 218 alongside Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez, Henry Cejudo, Sergio Pettis, Tisha Torres, Michelle Watterson, Justin Gaethje, Alistair Overeem, Francis Ngannou, the reigning defending UFC featherweight champion, the one and only Max Holloway, who is sporting some gold here. I love this. Where do we get this?
I'll go. This is Versace, brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do something magical on this one.
When you say something magical, what do you mean, honestly? Because, you know, we hear so much about, you know, brain damage, CTE, things like that, but you seem to be embracing this. Is that what you mean? Like, you want to go 3-round war with this guy?
I don't mind it. No. You know, the idea is always to take the path of least resistance, but I'm embracing the idea of it, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to have an expectation for a certain fight to happen. You know, I don't like going into fights that way. I like feeling it out and let them kind of evolve the way they do. So we'll see.
What did you learn about Justin being around him for those 6 or so weeks coaching the show?
He has a simple grasp on this game, and he doesn't complicate things.
Is that good or bad?
It's good.
Oh.
It's good. I think if you overanalyze, you kind of hesitate and you start to wait and you fight less and less. So, like, I feel like experience can be a double-edged sword. People say, oh, he's experienced, so he'll win. No, it's not necessarily true. Experience can cause thought. Thought can cause hesitation. Hesitation causes death. So I think when you don't overcomplicate things and you keep them simple, you just react off your instinct. And that's kind of what I've been getting back to in my career. And I've realized that I'm an instinctual fighter. I fight better that way. I fight better free of thought. And I find myself fighting better and better and better every single week.
Does this kind of feel like deja vu? I mean, in May you were doing the same thing, sitting across from the guy, you're about to face off. Of course, the fight didn't come to fruition because of the hand, but does it feel like it's old hat now with him?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he knows that. 'Cause I could have pulled out because of the fire, but you know what? I told him, and I thought about it. I said, you know what? I owe you one. And I told him that personally.
You reached out to him?
Yeah, I reached out to him. I said, you know what? I owe you one, bro. And I saw him in Vegas. I said, you know what? I owe you one. I says, I'll do whatever I can, man, to make this fight happen. And sincerely, man, my hand was hurt, man. I couldn't. It was hard for me to open the doorknobs and things like that. Open my toothpaste bottle.
Wow.
And I still try to fight, but it's just, you know, I respect the dude. And I knew I had to be 100. But now I'm 100, and I'm excited for this fight.
What was your reaction when you found out that he was in that fire? Were you like, oh, here we go again, it's not going to happen?
I actually messaged him right away, made sure he was good. You know, scary. I've had a fire I dealt with, and I know it's definitely a life-changing situation. So, I mean, I couldn't imagine being, you know, in his situation. So, reached out to him, make sure he's all good, and he told me he was good, and the fight's gonna go on. So,
wow, that's a pretty classy move on your part.
oh, thank you.
You were just asking him if he's okay, not if the fight was gonna remain.
I was making sure he's all good. You know, he's a human being.
Sure.
So, yep.
Michelle gets a lot of love from the UFC. They push her a lot, right? They do a lot of media for her. She's on an MTV reality show. What do you make of that? Do you feel like they want her to win this fight?
You know, the UFC tends to push a lot of fighters, but when they do that, they often end up going down.
Yeah.
So you saw that with Paige, and now you see it with Michelle, and you see it with what's her name, Cynthia. I think that their time is just coming. You know, I believe Michelle is a top fighter, but not top 5, and I do believe I'm top 5. I think I'm just going to go out there and impress my will on her everywhere the fight goes.
Mentally, the biggest lesson you learned from the Rose fight, what was it?
The biggest lesson I learned, I believe, is to not hesitate. Fighting Rose, you know, I took a huge step up in competition. I know that that's where I belong. And I learned that in that tier of competition, it's not necessarily the person who is a better fighter, but more so the person who makes the first mistake. And I learned that the hard way.
It's all fun and games for him. I'm ready to fucking take his life, so he better get his mind right.
Legit.
He signed the dotted line and said he's going to try to take mine, so why not return the favor?
He said on Monday that this is for the violent championship of the world. Are you down with those stakes?
I'm 18-0 at 15 knockouts. Has anybody in the history of MMA fighting had 15 knockouts in their first 18 fights?
I don't want to say definitively. I'd have to look it up, but that is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, so I think I own that title already.
Oh, okay. So is it at stake?
Yeah, he said he's going to drop me, then submit me. So that's not what the most violent man in the UFC does. What I'll do, drop him, and then stand him back up just like I did against Michael Johnson. That's what the most violent guy in the UFC or MMA does.
Like I said, we got cupcakes coming. Of course, I got 250 cupcakes coming in tomorrow for me. I'm looking to, there's new ones, you know, there's new flavors. I was looking forward to the new flavors. But I know if the new flavors don't show up, guess what? There's a bunch of cupcakes that I know is going to be in there that I'm going to enjoy. So all these guys is like cupcakes to me. You know, anybody can get it. I don't care. I'm not picky. I love it, and anyone can get it.
If all goes well on Saturday, do you want to rekindle the thing with Frankie, or have you moved on?
We see what happens, you know?
It is what it is?
Yeah. It is what it is, you know? It is what it is.
He was in diapers when you were fighting Saitama Super Arena, kicking butt in Pride 10 years ago.
No, he was not, because the man is older than he says he is.
You want to see his birth certificate?
Some documentation.
Yes. You don't buy it?
I don't.
How old do you think he is, honestly?
I think same as me, if not older.
Okay. How old are you now, for the record?
37.
37, really? I would have guessed 29. You're looking great.
It's going
I think fatherhood has made you actually younger.
I think UFC want the best to win, because if everyone win the fight, I mean, they will not take the victory for someone because they don't want you to win. You know, everyone who deserve it will win. Why they put us together? Because that everyone can win. You know, we both have a chance to win the fight, and then when you win the fight, you win the fight.
Can I ask about your relationship with Daniel Cormier? He tells me about some of the verbal battles that you guys have in the gym.
Yeah.
How would you describe?
Are you trying to start shit?
I'm not trying to start.
Don't be trying to start shit, man. I just met you, man. Don't be trying to start shit.
There's a fun little rivalry between you two,
I mean,
right?
of course, man. He's a funny guy. Funny guy. I guess he won't call me funny. I'm more serious. We both really serious when it comes to this craft. You know, it's a competitive rivalry in the gym, but that's how you become great.
But you feel like you're on his level, even though he's the champ, right?
Man, this guy tried to set me.
Is that not true?
I'm the best.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm not gonna point fingers. These guys are my teammates. I'll never talk down or anything about my teammates. They're great. They're all great, but I'm great as well.
So when you see like Ngannou and Overeem fighting tonight, you feel
they can kiss my fucking ass, and they can get it next if they call me out.
you came a little late?
Yeah, I mean, when I was hitting her, like probably first round, I asked her to stop, but she kept going. I did. I'm not joking. I was like, you should just stop now.
What'd she say?
She didn't say anything. I was like, you're still a hero. Just quit. Just stop now. You're still gonna be a hero. Yeah, I was like, I hope that's not on camera because it looked really bad. I was just like, you're still a hero. Just quit now. And then she actually did like kind of fight back a little harder for a second. And then the second round came. I don't know. I forget what the question was.
Do you agree though with the stoppage?
From where he was standing, I would say yes. But if he was to my left and then he saw it, the way he held my leg, he would have had a different thought. But from the back there, I would say yes, he did a good job. But if he was on my left side, he would have saw when I dropped him, he held my leg to try and recover and got back out.
So regardless of position, it sounds like you think he made a mistake, that he stopped it too early.
I'm never gonna say he's mistaken. I'll never say that. That's me bashing the referee, you know,
But just objectively, it was premature, because you're saying if he would have been standing the other way,
but it's not his fault.
No, I mean, he's a human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not going to blame them. I'll be like, you did a good job. But for me as a fighter, I would definitely give him a rematch. But as a referee, I'm not going to bash the referee for stopping the fight too early.
Okay.
Getting in your face.
Oh, we both went full on Nick Diaz, whatever. I think she got a little upset because I got her with a shot, and I saw it on her face. And I don't know, fighters get emotional. She flicked a booger at me. It was great. I mean, it's entertaining for the fans. Like, I like that. I like being in entertaining fights. I'm not mad at her, but it was cool. I thought I was entertained by it. I thought it was entertaining.
Was it a booger or was it blood that she threw at you? Because it looked like it was blood.
It was definitely blood. It was a big chunk of blood that Courtney flicked at me. And I don't know. It might have hit me. It might have landed on me. I guess that's my thing is I always get bodily fluids thrown at me in fights.
Has that ever happened to you? I mean, the Justine Kish was a little different. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
A bit different. Like where someone like intentionally throws blood at you or something?
Well, I mean, usually you can't intentionally throw blood. Like, you can only throw it if it's a chunk of blood, which means I must have done something to her nose. No one's ever done that to me. Like I said, I'm not really mad about it. I think most people would be mad and think it was like disrespectful, but we were in the heat of the moment. We were both cussing at each other, and
where did it hit you? Or did it hit?
I think it hit me somewhere.
Okay. Just want to confirm, was it a booger or was it blood or was it a booger?
It was a chunk. It was a booger. It was a booger chunk. It was a booger blood chunk.
Okay. I just don't want to
booger bludgeoning. It was like.
I just wanted to confirm.
It was chunky. That's why she flicked it at me, and it was laying on the floor, and I stepped over it. It was like a worm, like in the water in the pond when it rains.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. Didn't want to misquote you.
Well, I don't know what quote you're going to take out of that now.
At UFC 209, you at the press conference, you gave us some singing at the end before you left, and this is the home of Motown.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so what do you have for us this time? Anything good? Some Aretha Franklin.
Wow, 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 yippee yo, yippee yeah. Where my dogs? What's up, Detroit?
I like it.
Yes,
well
sir.
done. you know, it was interesting watching the fight when he had you on the ground and it seemed like it was getting a little dicey. Even Rogan said it, and we were kind of saying to each other, like, why didn't he just get up and tell Charles to get up with him? Why did you want to go? Like, were you trying to prove a point there?
No, it's a good question. I wasn't, though, and I was just talking to my teammates about it.
Wow.
CM Punk just took a spill. Nobody saw it.
Wow.
Get him out of here. Straight edge my ass.
Can't take him anywhere.
And I honestly, I landed some elbows, and he actually hit me with a couple really good leg kicks. And yeah.
Did you notice that he tapped?
I did.
Okay.
And me and Big Dan were just talking about it. He saw it too, but he thought he was saying like, "Whoa, nice shot."
Oh, really?
Hey, you know, in the heat of the moment, I'm doing my job. I just know you tapped. You saw me pause for a second.
Yeah.
And then he's still there, and the fight's not over. And you better believe I'm not stopping until somebody pulls me off. I couldn't believe how many more I actually got off before the fight was stopped.
You waited to see if the referee was going to step in.
Yeah, and then and it probably on camera, it probably looks like it's about 0.01 of a second, but for me it feels like 10 seconds of me being like, is it going to be over? But in the heat of the moment, it probably looks like that. But I felt him tap. I felt him go like, like no more. But the fight's not over, so I just kept chucking him.
At this point, probably the winner of Andrade or Carolina would be good, but really I'd like a title fight. I'd like that, grudge match. I think it's a fight the fans want to see. And when we were in Invicta, everybody said that first time, I think we were the first fight they had on pay-per-view, that we were going to fight for the UFC title one day, and I believe that's going to happen. I think the story is there, and it'd be a great fight for the fans and for myself, and nothing against Rose, business is business, but I want that title fight, and I've been wanting it for a long time. So if it wasn't Rose, if it was Joanna, I'd still be, edging for that title fight. It doesn't really matter who has it. I just want it,
But for the most part, we're looking just for openings for takedowns and putting them on the ground. And, we had a specific plan. And even with not just him, not just his fights, but his brother's fights too, they've always, having wrestlers very problematic for them. So when they wanted this fight, I'm just like, man, I was almost like, are you sure? Just because of that strong base, and but kudos to him, man. He came out, he was confident that he could have got this win, and I just came on top.
At this day, in Libya, we have some African guy who just want to immigrate because they want to have better life. They are finding road to go to Europe, something like that, and they crossed Libya, and then they treat the Libyan catch them and treat them as a slave. So we saw that on TV, on social, and then I have my heart break for that, because I was immigrant too. I do all that stuff, but no idea to that doesn't mean I was a bad guy. I was just someone found a better life. Found something to do to help my family and myself, to earn my own life, my own money.
And you're getting the title shot next. You got a lot of leverage right now. Are you pushing the UFC to, have a card in your country? Is that sort of a dream of yours?
Yes, of course. I want to. First of all, I want to be the first African to have a UFC belt. I want to be the one who bring the UFC in Africa, basically in Cameroon. Make Cameroon be the first country in Africa to have UFC. It will be good. It will be like an honor for me.
I recently heard about Aldo's his motivation for this fight was his daughter, and me being a parent with my son, I get it, but that guy should know he doesn't have to owe anybody anything. That guy's one of the greatest of all time. I think Brazil should be building statues of that guy in all the favelas, man. He's a legend. He's a GOAT. And I got a lot to feel, but, to your question, I told you guys before, there's a quote going around. I told you guys, if I beat you one time, the second time is going to be worse, and then the third time, you should rethink your life about accepting the fight, But just joking, but we knew it. You know, after the first round, I walked up to Joe Rogan and John Anik. I told him the guy's tired. He's tired already. In the third round, I dropped my hands. I was telling him to punch me. I was like, bro, this is where you punch me. Punch me in the face. I'm daring you. I was telling him, I dare you. I dare you to punch me now. And, you know, it went well. Things went my way. I think so. I landed, he landed some shots. My shots just seemed to hurt him a little bit more. So everything went my night tonight. But like I said, the guy's a GOAT, man. You know, I had nothing but respect for him and his team and his family and all of Brazil.
But let me ask you about the expectations. Did this fight live up to those immense expectations?
I think it definitely lived up to the expectations. I might argue surpassed them because there was some concern for me that it would have an early finish. One of them that maybe Gaethje would knock him out and get a good shot because I've questioned Alvarez's chin given the wars he's been in over the years. However, and you also have to add in the crazy Medeiros Alex Oliveira fight that we saw, which had people's expectations sky high already if they weren't high enough for Alvarez Gaethje. And I think this fight was arguably, and this is where people are going to go nuts, I think this fight was arguably better than that one. It's close. I think they were maybe the 1 and 2 best fights of the year.
Sure. First 3 quarters of 2017, I think, for the UFC, somewhat forgettable, but they are ending the year on a very high note when you consider 217 last month at Madison Square Garden. This card tonight, which I think may have exceeded expectations, and a lot of people were excited for it going into it. And then, of course, UFC 219 coming up in just a few weeks, and that's Chris Cyborg versus Holm. So things are looking up for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And Detroit, UFC's return to Michigan, their 3rd show here in Michigan. I think they came out, they represented. Good showing here at the Little Caesars Arena. They even gave us Little Caesars pizza here. What a nice little touch at 2:54 a.m. Eastern Time. It's never good to have pizza this late or this early in the morning, but when you're at the Little Caesars Arena, why not go ham, right? You see what I did there?
I don't think we got ham pizzas, though.
I think there was one with ham. I really do think there was one with ham. You see, this is what happens when it's late. We're basking in the glow of UFC 218. Max Holloway is the reigning, defending UFC featherweight champion. He wins his 12th fight in a row. He successfully defends that title for the first time since 2014. The first person to do it since 2014. Do you remember who did it back on October of 2014?
Putting me on the spot. Jose Aldo.
Yes, of course. Jose Aldo against Chad Mendes in Brazil. Remember that night? Here we go. The blessed era is upon us. We'll see what happens to him next. For now, we shall say good night, good morning, wherever you may be. For our crew here in Detroit, thank you so much for watching our coverage from here in Motown all week long. We're back on Monday for the MMA Hour, but we'll say salut, good night, good morning, good afternoon from here in Detroit. Thanks for watching.